everybody, we're going to be talking about completing the square. And we've already completed the square. We got fairly reasonable at it. And then I taught you how to do the quadratic formula. So you stopped completing the square, and I don't blame you at all. Hardly anybody uses this method anymore, except for when we're manipulating equations. But we do need this method for lesson 913. And so I wanted to be sure we reviewed that concept before we got there. And so we're going to try to make a perfect square, which means I'm going to try to force this to become something quantity squared. It's usually x plus or minus some number. So I'm just going to put that, let's put plus here. It might be minus. And then it equals some other number. Let's not make that too squiggly. Let's just make it a double line. So that's our goal. And so we're going to try to figure out how we could do that. So the first thing we're going to do is move the 2. So that's going to be my first step, is to move 2. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides, which keeps everything the same. And then lets me focus on this x squared plus 8 more carefully. I'm going to put a squiggle right here. I'm going to be eventually putting something there, plus 2. And I'm going to put that squiggle also over here. Now we're going to jump to kind of a pictorial of thoughts on this. So let's say I have my box, and I know that x squared goes here because that's what we've been doing all year. And so we're trying to force this, which means these 2 edges have to be the same. So how will I do that? And so what I can do is I can split these 8 x's into 2 equal groups. And that will give me 4 x's here and 4 x's here. Then they are equal to one another. Okay. So that will make my edge right now x. And we're going to predict this is 4, and this is x, and this is 4. And so again, we're making a prediction. Whether it's true or we're going to force it to be true. Okay? So it's not true right now, but we're going to force it to be true. So we're going to force this to work. In order for this to work, this number has to be what? What does this have to be? Well, 4 times 4. In this case, 16. So that's what goes right here, is 16. And it's positive. It's always positive. And in order to keep my problem the same, I have to add to both sides. So it also goes here. Okay? And so now I have this side factors into, because I made it, I very carefully crafted my problem so that it would become x plus 4 squared. That was the whole point of splitting 8 into 2 equal groups. I forced this to happen. Over here I have 2 plus 16, which is 18. And that is my final answer. That's our goal today. That's our whole goal. And when we deal with this next week, we're going to be doing it slightly differently, but that's our goal today. We made it. We have x plus a number, 4, equals a number, 18. X plus 4, quantity squared. And again, because those 2 are exactly the same. So let's try it together. So I have this problem. I know that I'm trying to force myself to get x plus or minus something. Squared equals some other number. Okay. So I need to split, need to move the 3. So I have x squared plus 10. There's going to be some number here equals minus 3, some number there. So I use my box, and I'm going to draw x squared, giving me x and x. Now how do I figure out what these are? So what did I do with 8? And I kind of did it quickly, but over here I took 8 and I split it in half, which gave me 4. And so here we will take what number and split it in half? Yes, we will take the 10 and split it in half. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. So we split 10 in half. So that gives me 5x and 5x. I should really have used a different color, but that's And so my edges, this must be 5, and this must be 5, and they're both pluses because 5 is positive and 10 is positive. And so what is this number right here? Well, it's 5 times 5, which is 25, or 5 squared. And so my squiggle is plus 25. And so I have this becomes x plus 5 times x plus 5, or x plus 5 squared equals negative 3 plus 25, which is 22. I'm jumping the gun a little bit there. And there I am. No big deal. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you a couple of hints. I'm going to have you do this one on your own mostly. So we've got x squared minus 12x. We're going to add 1 to both sides. Squiggle equals negative plus 1. 1 and then squiggle. I'm splitting negative 12.5. Be careful. Negative 12.5. X squared goes here. Go ahead and pause the video. Figure out what goes in this, what squiggle is and what goes in the boxes. One more hit. Split it in half. Okay, so I split 12.5. Negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6. So that's negative 6x and negative 6x. Negative 6 times negative 6 is 36. So my squiggle is positive 36. And I've got everything there. So this becomes x minus 6 squared. And it's minus because the 12 was negative. On the other problems, our numbers were positive and it was plus. Since it's negative, it's minus. Equals 1 plus 36, which is 37. So this 36 right here doesn't seem to do anything, but it's coming off this. It's y this factors into x minus 6. Without that 36, it wouldn't work. This 36 plays a more active role in that we see it in the end of the problem. All right, and that's what we're at. One more problem to try. That's all we're going to do. So, actually, I guess I didn't put that in the box. So go ahead. Start the problem. So if you chose your first step, I did ask this question on a puzzle. If you chose your first step is subtracting 5, you are now here. Now we need to figure out what goes in squiggle. Go ahead, pause, and figure out what squiggle is. In order to do that, you have to build your box. So there's your hint. It's box building time. So if you decided that squiggle was 9, awesome. And so what I did here is I've added 9 to both sides. I've also come over here, x minus 3, x minus 3, x minus 3. We've got our 9 there. And so my final answer is, go ahead and pick from the list your final answer. Okay, so if you chose x minus 3 quantity squared equals 4 from the list, excellent work. And this is all we're doing. So I hope that this was enjoyable. There will be a few practice problems for you to do on your own. Have a great day.